More than 1 million homes and customers across the state are waking up in the dark. Jennifer Bellamy joins us live from outside Georgia Power with more on the restoration efforts this morning, and it sounds like they're making progress, Jen.
That's right, Sheba. As you said, more than 1 million Georgians, about 448,000 from Georgia EMC, and on the Georgia Power end, maybe around 800,000. And we're seeing some maybe fluctuation in those numbers because we are continuing to get reports of trees coming down. But that's a factor in all of this as well that crews are going to have to deal with. Now, today is the first full day that Georgia Power crews will be able to get out and start assessing some of the damage that'll help them be able to better allocate their resources in their crews to get them out there and try to get power restored. Yesterday, they told us they had about 3,400 people that were going to be out working to restore power. That number has now gone up to 5,500 different people all across the state with some of their partner groups that are going to be working to assess and repair damage. So hopefully throughout the day, more people here in the metro will be able to get that power back through the Georgia Power process. They're going to try and restore power to groups that will give power back to the most amount of people. We're talking places like hospitals, schools, nursing homes, things of that nature. They'll try to get power working for them as soon as possible. Sheba, back to you.
All right, Jennifer, thank you so much.
All right, guys, let's take a look at this now. I want to show you some of these maps to give you a comparison. Yesterday, as Irma started blowing through on the left-hand side of your screen there, this was kind of in the height of our coverage, right around 4 or 5 o'clock. I took this shot here, and you can see all those icons represent problem spots, not only for GDOT, Georgia Power, but these were all those areas where they either had power outages, wires down, street flooding, accidents. The left side really was just covered, and it covered the entire state. That's the interesting thing about it. You know, we talk about how big Irma was, that it covered everything in Florida. It covered the entire state of Georgia as well. And the map on the right-hand side, that indicates, that was a couple hours ago, we took that one, of all those trouble spots that remain. As you can see, those blue cones are construction cones, but all those little red and yellow, that's all areas where there's debris in the road, mainly trees down, wires down. It's just been one of those days. And Jennifer Leslie's been out and about in Sandy Springs the whole time, just tracking so much of this. Herds Ferry, Johnson Ferry, Powers Ferry, so many roads. Jennifer, I heard you say that the city of Sandy Springs ran out of barricades. All right. We're having trouble with Jennifer Leslie's audio right now. We'll get that back up, but they are on the scene there of Herds Ferry and Johnson, or Herds Ferry and Riverside Drive, where that huge tree came down on top of some power lines. And again, you'll see one of those icons from Georgia Power, and they're indicating that they've got a lot to do out there. Okay, now behind Jennifer Leslie in the Thunder truck, don't know if you saw it, there was a light that was flashing red. A lot of folks have been asking us, all right, what do we do when these traffic lights are out? Let's say we got to go to the store, we have to get out on the roads and drive. We don't recommend it, but if you do, here's how you treat it. If there are absolutely no lights on whatsoever, you treat that as a four-way stop. If it's a flashing red light, you just treat it as a stop sign. If you get the yellow, proceed with caution only when traffic permits. I'll tell you what, personally, myself, I've seen so many people blow through these lights. I just almost come to a complete stop no matter what. Look in all directions, and then you go ahead and go. All right, do we have Jennifer Leslie back up? There she is. All right, Jennifer Leslie.
Yes, Crash, I'm sorry, that was my fault.
That's quite all right. Okay, yeah, so we were talking about Sandy Springs running out of barricades to block off the roads. They've got so many.
Yeah, and they need those barricades because they're worried about traffic blowing right through cones. Look right in front of us. They have sort of reinforced this roadblock right here at Riverside Drive, leading up to Herds Ferry. We're at Riverside Parkway, and they want to make sure that they've seen cars blow through these barricades and people walk around them, and they're very concerned. That's, you know, it's dangerous. You can see wires down, and while we do believe that these wires have been disconnected, they've been shut off, they are not live anymore, one of the workers said, you know, he never assumes that he always assumes the wires are live because you just can't take that risk. So we're right at Herds Ferry. You can see that massive tree there, one of 3 trees that have brought down wires right here, and it's going to take all day, possibly all day, to clear away the trees, to get the poles restored, 2 of them snapped in 2 out of 4, and then to get the wires back up. So it could be the end of the day before this section of Riverside Drive, which is busy, before it can reopen to traffic. And that's one of the reasons that we are seeing the warnings to avoid traveling around if you can, because you run right up into these blockades and it's hard to know that they're coming. I will tell you, the maps on my iPhone have been excellent. The cities and counties have been very good about feeding that information in so that the maps do indicate where there are closures, and that's been a big help.
All right, Jennifer Leslie, she is in the Thunder Truck tracking so much damage. And, I know we all told everybody to hunker down yesterday and hunker down today, and you're probably getting some cabin fever. But that's one of the reasons you don't really want to get out there, especially driving around. You don't want to drive over power lines that may be live. You certainly don't want to walk over them or touch a tree. Or even, we were talking to the arborist earlier, Josh, and he was telling us, don't even get out there with the chainsaw and try and do it, because you don't know the pressure points of these trees. Let the professionals handle it. Let them get out here and assess the situation. That way Georgia Power can get the power turned off. They can get the trees off the wires and get them restrung. And again, I know you're probably saying, oh, I got to get out of my house. Let me recommend maybe a good game of Parcheesi, perhaps some Ganip-Ganop or a Yahtzee. Go with some of the classics. They'll keep you entertained for hours. Chesley McNeil, I know you're over there. You've been watching the weather all morning. Do you remember Ganip-Ganop, my friend?
Never.
You don't remember that?
No. Yahtzee, but not Ganip-Ganop.
Little Parcheesi.
Parcheesi, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
I think that Ganip-Ganop was a snack we used to eat back in the day in school, right? That was a little, yeah. Yeah, it was a Florida thing. I think she was right about that. All right, we're looking at the clouds overhead. This is Georgia's Rome, folks, and you can see the flags just flapping around in the wind. It's up to the north where it's still a bit breezy out there. Winds up to about 15 miles per hour, and you can see the roadways are still soggy. You don't have any rain coming out of the sky. Maybe a little drizzle. That's it. That's it. That's it. But this is the way it's going to be for the rest of the day. More of a nuisance for us. You don't want to get out in that and try to clean up, right? But we may have to in some spots, in some instances, right? Of course, the officials telling us to stay off the roadways. Just let GDOT do their thing. Get out there, assess some of the roads and clean off some of these trees, the debris that's all over the place. Yeah. You may even have branches where you don't have the trees. You may have the branches down, some of that sticking up, some of the roots of that, and roll right over that. You can do some damage to your car. Leave it in the garage. Leave it in the driveway. The rain is ending, but we still have some of it out there. And so it's very light, maybe in the form of drizzle in a lot of spots. But that's it. That's what's left over, at least for us when it comes to Irma. More of the heavy rain is further back off toward the west. You can see over toward northern parts and central portions of Mississippi. In fact, some of that is heading into Arkansas and Louisiana. Can you believe that? And extends all the way over here to the east into North Carolina. Some of those feeder bands, remember that? Still feeding in, and we had a couple of tornado warnings for this morning. Don't see any right now, but we had a couple out there. We're turning our attention to Jose now, barely a hurricane, with winds up to 75 miles per hour. It is moving over toward the east at about 6 miles per hour east this way, right? It is forecast to become a tropical storm once again, and then intensify to become a Category 1 hurricane before it heads closer to the United States. This won't be until Saturday, Sunday time frame. But some of the models, if we look at the long-range models, keeping it out to sea. If you follow along that same path, it keeps it out to sea, moves it right on up the coast, gets it out of the way. And then there are a few models that keeps it a little bit further down to the south, over the Caribbean, and then back into South Florida. Really don't want it here. Definitely don't want it there. And so this is something that we're going to have to watch over the next couple of days, or monitor to see what's going to happen with Jose as it continues to be pesky, just kind of hanging around. Temperatures are down into the 50s this morning. So again, yesterday you were caught off guard. Some of you caught off guard by those 50s and said, man, you didn't tell me it was going to be like winter out here. Well, it's cool. At least we don't have the winds to deal with like we did yesterday. Those winds up to 25 miles per hour. You're at 58 degrees in Duluth, 59 degrees in Marietta, 59 in Gainesville, 59 also in Clayton, 61 degrees in Athens and Edenton, 60 over toward the Rome area. Not much more rain going to be added to the bucket. Again, we do have a little bit of light rain, some drizzle out there. Most of that will be up here to the far north, as you can see, over 1/10 of an inch. But for the most part, the rain is done, folks, and those winds are starting to drop down. They'll be at 10 miles per hour or less for much of the day. Unless you go up to the higher elevations of the North Georgia mountains, you can see up here from Clayton, Blairsville, Dalton over the Rome, you're in the teens here. 14-mile-an-hour winds for Rome, Dalton, and Blairsville. 13-mile-an-hour winds right now for Clayton. As far as your forecast goes, here's the forecast track model. You can follow along with me with the time right there at the top of the screen. It shows the rain trying to end. We will keep, again, some light rain in the forecast as we head through the rest of the afternoon. It'll be very isolated. There's a few sprinkles left over. For the most part, we're going to hold on to those clouds. Those clouds not really allowed to get out of here until some of that drier air begins to work in, and that won't happen until we get into Wednesday. So we start you off with partly sunny skies or a mix of sun and clouds, and that's the way it's going to be for much of the day. There is about a 20% chance for an isolated shower or two to pop up during the afternoon. I think most of that will be down toward the central and southern portions of the state. We'll move toward the east. By the time we get into Wednesday, there will be another disturbance, upper level disturbance that comes through, which will try to bring in an isolated shower or two. But for the most part, we're going to clear it out, and that'll set us up for some sunshine coming back to us by the weekend with temperatures getting back into the middle 80s. Finally, folks. All right, it is 8:54. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. Oh, I'm sorry. Now they're telling me to stretch on a little bit. We're looking at temperatures right around 80 degrees by the time we get to Thursday. And again, I talked about that upper low disturbance coming through, so that's about a 30% chance that we could see an isolated shower or two. So even though we begin to clear it out, we're going to hang on to some of the cloudiness out there. Even tomorrow, with 77 degrees for the high temperature, still a 20% chance for some showers with a few clouds hanging on. Once we get that sunshine back, that's when we get those temperatures back into the 80s. Now, keep in mind, we should be around 84 degrees this time of year. And we've been well below. Yesterday, we were down into the low 60s. Today, 69 degrees, 77 on Wednesday. Finally back into the 80s by the time we hit Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when we're looking at a beautiful weekend in the area. We'll take that, right? 85 degrees on Friday. Looking at 86 degrees for the high temperature on Saturday, Sunday, 86 as well with a few extra clouds coming in. We'll be watching Jose at that point, but for now, our Monday looks good. An 11 live day with mostly sunny skies and 86 for the afternoon high temperature. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. I don't have to stretch anymore. We'll be back right after this.